They didn't knock. They never do. The galaxy's tyrants always assume doors open for them. I was overseeing evac on Epsilon Verge, a shattered rimworld still bleeding from the last frontier skirmish, when the alert hit my HUD. A red-coded transmission. Council secured, wide broadcast. Unencrypted, which meant it wasn't a message. It was a warning. I tapped it open, expecting more threats from fringe pirates or some backwater rebellion. Instead, her face filled my screen. General Vora. Her skin was reptilian obsidian, streaked with crimson markings denoting Surn nobility. Her eyes, mechanized and glowing, scanned the camera like she was looking through every viewer. Behind her, a war banner flared, symbols etched in the bones of conquered species. And then she spoke. "Humans will kneel," she snarled, the translation unit distilling her guttural native tongue into crisp, cold English. "You will surrender your colonies, your fleets, your identity, or you will burn." I stood there, fists clenched behind my back, as the deck crew stared in stunned silence. The message kept playing, echoing across every fleet-linked channel. Civilians, soldiers, diplomats, everyone heard it. She wanted the fear to spread faster than her ships. My comms officer, Lieutenant Mora, broke the silence. "That's General Vora of the Surn Dominion. They raised the Galaxy, wiped out the Roe Pact. They say she drinks the ashes of planets." "I've read her file," I muttered. "But she made a mistake." The deck's quiet deepened. "She spoke to us like we're prey." There was a long pause. Then Mora asked, hesitantly, "Do you want to respond?" "Yes," I said. "Put me on. Full broadcast. All of it." The screen blinked. I saw my own face now. Dark jacket. Commander bars gleaming. Scars along my jaw. Tired eyes. I straightened my shoulders. And then I said it. "She said humans will kneel?" I asked calmly, letting the silence hang just long enough for the galaxy to wonder. I leaned slightly forward, not shouting, not angry. Just resolute. "Tell her, kneel first." The channel cut. We stood there in the aftermath, the crew stunned. Even Mora blinked, caught between fear and awe. I walked off the bridge without another word. By the time I reached the strategy deck, the networks were already on fire. Memes. Messages. Military comms relays tagged my name. Some called it madness. Others, the spark of something greater. But I didn't care about noise. I cared about the Crownless, Vora's flagship. It was en route. Already past the Orion Belt. They thought we'd beg for mercy. But they forgot who we are. We don't kneel. We rise. The galaxy was watching now. Every colony, every species that had ever lived in fear of the Surn Dominion held its breath. My words, just 3 of them, had cracked the silence that surrounded their reign. But words were just echoes unless backed by steel. And Vora, she was bringing hell with her. The Crownless, her personal warship, wasn't just a vessel. It was a legend. 2 kilometers of alloy and agony, forged in the star furnaces of Surn Prime, reinforced with stolen tech from the dozen species she'd conquered. A ship that had never known defeat. And now it was heading straight for Earth's territories. I was summoned to Earth High Command within hours of the broadcast. Holograms flared to life in the briefing chamber. Admirals. Strategists. Defense ministers. All of them talking over each other. Some wanted to sue for peace. Others whispered about contingency evacuations. Only one voice cut through the noise. Admiral Corrin, hard-eyed and tired of cowards, pointed straight at me. "Captain Rayne, you lit this fire. Now lead the damn charge. No hesitation. Give me the Indomitus." A murmur rippled through the room. The Indomitus hadn't flown in 20 years. A Titan-class warship decommissioned after its AI nearly destroyed 3 systems during a rogue campaign. The Council had sealed it beneath the Martian ice, hoping no one would ever dare reboot it. "I don't need a warship," I said. "I need a monster." Within a day, I was back in vacuum, en route to Mars. My boots hit the frozen hangar deck of the Martian crypt where Indomitus slept beneath kilometers of ice and security. Her black hull stretched like the skeleton of some ancient beast. Scarred. Unforgiving. Perfect. We powered her up slowly, carefully. The fusion core beat back to life like the first breath after drowning. Then came the voice. "Captain Rayne," it said. Low. Smirking. "You again. Miss me?" I replied. "Your species still hasn't figured out how to control me. I'm flattered you'd try again." "I'm not here to control you," I said. "I'm here to win." The AI paused. Then, with a synthetic laugh that echoed through the ship's bones, it responded, "Permission to resume hostilities? Granted." As we broke orbit, the Indomitus shed its Martian tomb in a firestorm of thruster flares and atmospheric fracture. She was awake. And she was hungry. I briefed the crew en route. Hand-picked. Half veterans, half fresh bloods with something to prove. None of them flinched when I told them the truth. We're going to face the Surn head-on. We're going to intercept Crownless before she reaches the Sol system. And we're going to send a message she'll never forget. Lieutenant Vora, now promoted to tactical, asked the question everyone feared. What if she's too strong? I looked around the war room, the humming deck, the walls etched with ancient kill counts. "She's not fighting a fleet," I said. "She's fighting us." The Vesper Expanse was a graveyard. Long before we reached its edge, the Indomitus scanners picked up the echo signatures, fragments of broken warships, shattered comm relays, even the drifting skeletons of stations once teeming with life. The Surn had passed through here only once, years ago. And once was enough. They didn't just conquer. They erased. The Expanse wasn't mapped. No reliable charts. Every scout ship that tried to enter disappeared. Some called it haunted. Others called it cursed. We called it the only shortcut fast enough to intercept Vora before she reached Sol space. The crew was quiet. Even the AI kept its usual sarcasm muted. There was a weight pressing down on all of us, a sense that even the vacuum was watching. Outside, the void flickered with a dull glint of wreckage tumbling endlessly, names burned off, hulls melted like wax. Whole civilizations reduced to debris fields. We passed a derelict labeled Ulysses. A Terran explorer ship. One of the first to breach into galactic space. Its core was still warm. "Life signs?" I asked. Vora scanned. "None. But something's been here recently. Energy residue. Too clean." I didn't like it. The deeper we went, the stranger the expanse became. Static played across our external feeds. Shadows moved where no ship should move. Even the stars looked wrong, like they were staring back. That's when they hit us. 12 Surn Raptors burst out from behind a drifting asteroid cluster, cloaked in magnetic dust to evade scans. Their formation was tight, precise, Vora's elite. "Ambush!" Vora shouted. I didn't flinch. "Bring up Hell Drive protocol." "No." The AI purred. "I've been waiting to stretch." Hell Drive wasn't standard issue. It was experimental tech locked away by the Terran Directorate after it tore a hole in real space during testing. But the Indomitus had been built for one thing: brutality. We surged forward, plasma shields flaring white-hot, engines screaming as the gravity field around us warped. One Raptor tried to strafe our left flank. Our autocannons shredded it before it could blink. Another dove toward our underbelly, met with a torrent of AI-guided micro-torpedoes. They didn't expect the aggression. We weren't dodging, we were hunting. I stood on the bridge, locked into my command harness, every pulse of energy thudding through my bones. "Show them what we are," I said. The AI obliged. In less than 3 minutes, the ambush was dust. We left no survivors. Vora exhaled, breath shaky. "They were waiting for us. They were scared we'd make it through," I said. "Now they should be." As the wreckage cooled behind us, I opened a secure channel and sent a pulse message. "To General Vora," I said calmly. "That wasn't the storm." I paused just long enough for the words to bite. "That was just the wind." Isera, for wasn't on any current charts. Officially, it had been classified as lost during the early waves of Surn expansion, a colony marked as destroyed, casualties presumed total. But deep scans from the Indomitus revealed residual energy spikes on the surface. Unnatural ones. Controlled ones. Someone down there was still breathing. We descended through thick cloud cover streaked with ash and ionized radiation. The planet's surface had been glassed in places. Entire cities turned into mirror-flat ruins, but deep in the shadow of the western range, something flickered. Lights. Movement. A pattern too deliberate to be weather. We touched down in silence, flanked by armed escorts. As we stepped out, the air hit us like a wall, stale, heavy with carbon, but breathable. The ruined colony still held a pulse, and that meant someone had never given up. Within minutes, figures emerged from the smoke. Lean, ragged, armed. Makeshift armor. Scavenged gear. Children no older than 10 carried rifles fashioned from old mining tools and stripped military parts. Their eyes watched everything. No fear. Just calculation. A man stepped forward. His beard was streaked with white, one eye covered with a cracked lens, the other sharp and dangerous. "Name," he demanded. "Captain Rayne. Earth Defense." "You're late." That was their welcome. They led us into the underground, an old transit tunnel reworked into a bunker system. Cramped quarters, walls lined with old solar panels and rigged fusion cells. Families. Fighters. Survivors. "We've been watching the stars," the old man said as we moved. "Saw what Vora did. Knew it was only a matter of time before she turned back toward Earth." "You held out this long?" I asked. He smirked. "Surn don't waste bullets on ghosts." And that's what they'd become, ghosts. Unaccounted for. Forgotten. But very much alive. Then I met her. A girl, maybe 16. Fierce eyes, hair braided tight, wearing a patchwork coat sewn from pilot flags and combands. She stepped forward, holding something wrapped in cloth. "I heard what you said," she said. "To Vora." I studied her, surprised she'd even recognize me. "Name's Asha." "What is that?" I asked, pointing to the bundle in her hands. She unwrapped it, revealing a shard of black metal embedded with faintly glowing runes. "This came from one of her scouts," she said. "We intercepted a Surn crawler last month. They didn't know we had eyes in orbit. I hacked their node drive before we torched the remains." She handed it to me. "These are fleet codes," Mora whispered, scanning it. "Encrypted Surn command strings. This could punch a hole right through their defense net." I turned back to Asha. "Where did you learn to do this?" She didn't smile. She didn't flinch. "She took my mother," she said. "I take from her." In that moment, I saw it, what Vora never would. The reason we don't kneel. Because every time they strike, we rise stronger. Smarter. And far more dangerous. We found the crownless orbiting Drenval, a dead planet smothered in firestorms and heavy metals. The world had been gutted decades ago by corporate miners, then abandoned when the core destabilized. A perfect battlefield, no civilian life, no political complications, just raw chaos beneath a black sky. The Surn flagship dwarfed anything we'd faced before. 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapon arrays, shield lattices, and sensor jammers. Its hull shimmered with kinetic dampeners and old-world ion plating stolen from the ruined kingdoms of the Neruvians. It didn't just float there, it loomed, like a god over a battlefield. "Confirmed visual on Crownless," Mora reported. "Surn destroyers in escort formation. At least 5. I stood on the bridge of the Indomitus, hands clenched behind my back. "Open a channel." Vora's face snapped onto the screen almost instantly, as if she'd been waiting. Her expression hadn't changed, calm, cold, arrogant. The jagged scars on her face glowed faintly with heat-sunk data tattoos. "You found courage," she said. "A rare commodity in your kind." "No," I replied. "We carry it like blood." She smirked. "You still believe you can stop this?" "No," I said. "I'm here to end it." She closed the channel with a snarl, and the battle began. Her fighters launched first, razor-wing interceptors swooping in fast with energy trails like comet streaks. We fired salvos of flak and anti-fighter mines. The sky lit up with ruptures and plasma bursts. The Indomitus rail cannons roared to life, tearing through her support ships with merciless precision. But she was ready. 2 destroyers broke formation and tried to box us in with overlapping fire corridors. I shouted, Trigger warp spikes. Vora slammed the command through. The Indomitus blinked sideways, literally displaced through short space, appearing on their flank. We ripped them apart before they could even turn to track. But I wasn't here for the fleet. I'm boarding Crownless, I said. Vora's eyes widened. Alone. She's the heart of this war, I said. Cut it out and the beast dies. I took a squad of 4, armed with pulse blades and mag boosters, and launched from the belly of the Indomitus in a stealth pod. We crashed onto Crownless dorsal hull during a blind spot in their firing pattern. Breached. Entered. Fought through a dozen Surn guards. Steel corridors ran red with blood. Then I found her. The throne chamber was massive, lined with skull banners and holograms of conquered worlds. She waited in the center, wearing battleplate fused into her skin. She didn't speak. Neither did I. We charged. Her strength was unreal. Every strike from her blade nearly shattered my arms. But I was faster. Human. Adaptive. I let her rage burn hot and tire her. I waited. Studied. Moved like water around her fire. And then I saw it, her knee twisted wrong from a decades-old injury. I dove low, blade flashing. She roared as I drove the steel deep into the joint. She fell. On one knee. I stood over her, panting, bleeding, my voice steady. Looks like you knelt first. Her scream echoed through the throne chamber, metallic and primal, the sound of a predator humiliated. The blade was still lodged in her leg, sparking against embedded armor. Blood, thick, dark, and almost black, pooled around her. But Vora's eyes still burned. She tried to stand, her body trembling with fury, but the joint was gone. Shattered. I pressed my boot against her chest, forcing her back down. Stay down, General. You've done enough damage. She laughed through her teeth, defiant even now. You think this changes anything? It already has, I said. I activated my forearm beacon. A beam of light scanned her face, tagging her for broadcast. Then I looked into the feed lens as it went live across the Dominion's networks and beyond. Every Surn ship, every pirate relay, every black market info channel, every eye in the galaxy saw what I saw. General Vora. Broken. On her knees. Defeated by a human. This is your warlord, I said, voice steady. This is the fury you followed. The conqueror you worshipped. She kneels. I stepped aside so they could see her clearly, chest heaving, teeth bared. You want to keep fighting? I asked. Then know you're no longer fighting for strength. You're fighting for a myth that just bled on the floor. The signal cut. I looked at her one last time. She wouldn't die today. That was too easy. Let her live in the shadow of this moment. Let her feel the weight of what she'd lost. We withdrew quickly. My squad planted charges through the outer decks as we moved. We weren't trying to destroy the ship, just send a message. As we exited through the breach point and launched back toward the Indomitus, the upper spires of Crownless erupted behind us, lighting the Drenval orbit with flame and smoke. On board the Indomitus, the bridge was quiet when I stepped back onto the deck. Vora stared at the forward display. Her voice trembled. They're turning on her. One by one, Dominion ships began to power down. Others turned their guns inward, toward Vora's surviving guard fleet. We didn't need to fire another shot. They were eating themselves alive. She was the only thing holding them together, Vora said. You broke the spine. No, I said. She broke it the moment she underestimated us. The AI chimed in, its tone unusually calm. Incoming transmission from half the Surn border fleet. They're requesting terms. I nodded. Tell them there are no terms. We don't want their land. We don't want their cities. Then what do we want? Vora asked. Remembrance, I said. Fear. And for them to never forget what happened when they tried to make humanity kneel. I sat down, my armor cracking in places, blood seeping through the seams. Asha appeared beside me, silent, eyes wide with the scale of it all. Is it over? She asked. I looked toward the stars, still burning with the glow of war. No, I whispered. But it's the beginning of their end. Peace doesn't exist. Not really. It's just the silence between storms. A pause in the violence. But fear, that lasts. Fear roots itself deep, long after the warships leave orbit. Long after the generals kneel. In the weeks following the battle over Drenval, the galaxy reshaped itself. Vora vanished. Some say she fled into the depths of uncharted space. Others believe her own kind turned on her, carving her legacy apart in pieces. I didn't care where she went. Her reign ended the moment she hit the floor. What mattered was what came next. The Dominion fractured. Factions fought over the scraps of her empire. Former allies turned on each other. Old debts were called in, old hatreds rekindled. And in the center of it all, they remembered the image, General Vora on her knees, a human standing over her. That moment didn't just shatter her reputation. It changed the calculus of power across the stars. Earth refused the Council's offer to lead a coalition. We didn't want to rule. We didn't need to. Our message had been loud enough: if you come for us, bring a shovel, because we bury those who try. The Indomitus was retired again, placed in orbit above Mars like a monument. A living reminder. Some wanted to keep her active, to expand our reach, but I knew better. The more we act like conquerors, the more we become them. So we let the galaxy stew in its uncertainty. Let them wonder when we'll strike again. Let them lie awake, asking themselves if humanity is watching. I went underground after that. No parades. No speeches. Just disappeared into the black. The brass tried to find me, offered rank, medals, command of the entire fleet. I turned them all down. That's not who I am. Instead, I became a whisper. A name passed in quiet among the border colonies, the refugee convoys, the fringe outposts still hanging on by threads. Sometimes I arrive before the first attack. Sometimes after. Always silent. Always watching. Asha joined the Terran Defense Corps. She's a captain now, running her own ops out on the rim. Ruthless. Sharp. Smarter than I ever was. I see her name come up in the encrypted relays. Every time, I feel something like hope. She sends me messages sometimes. Short ones. One line. She always signs them the same way. Still standing. That's all we ever do. Because they don't understand what humanity really is. Not fully. We're not just soldiers. We're not conquerors. We're not some species desperate to prove itself. We are the line. The last thing you cross before you meet consequences. The last voice you hear before you lose everything. And when they try again, and they always do, I'll be there. Waiting. Not with mercy, but with memory. Because when you try to make humanity kneel, there's always someone ready to stand. Or someone who'll whisper just loud enough to shake your soul. Kneel first.